Greetings, Traveler Challenger here. Today we are playing Diablo 2 Resurrected as a Warlock using fire skills and full Horazon Splendor endgame set that is dedicated for this class. I wanted to try both this build and set. Since patch notes were announced some time ago, I waited until this is implemented, as Warlock in its initial stages was just beyond busted, so let the challenge begin. Rules: using full Horazon Splendor set as soon as possible, playing with fire build, using charms and sockets, run ends with killing Bale on Hell. This is hardcore run, 1 life, no deaths. Horazon Splendor is a new addition to the game. In its fullest, it can be only utilized by Warlock and it is main targeted towards this class. But certain pieces like gloves and boots are good standalone options for the other classes. Set consists of 5 pieces: gloves, body armor, shield, helmet and boots, meaning that the main hand can still be utilized for rune ward. Also, the set does not have outrageous level requirements, as its last piece requires level 67 to be used. Since the first piece requires level 48, let's discuss the full set and its bonuses once I will be able to wear them, and meanwhile I will concentrate on discussing the build. Let's get the necessary stuff out of the way. To even be able to play Fire Warlock, I need at least level 6 for the first skill. So right out of the gate I cleared the Den of Evil and Corpse Fire dropped a rare wand, which upon identifying, holy shit, this thing is insane for level 6. Aside from skills to various necromancer levels, it has a chance for amp damage on striking, 10% faster cast rate, mana, fire and poison resistances, and it repairs itself. What the actual hell? Quick stroll into burial grounds to bury Blood Raven yields me a little helper, Aliza, who is keeping up with the theme of the run and is fire-based archer, and as soon after that I hit level 6 and I can take Ring of Fire skill, which fires a nova of fireballs, pushing enemies away, dealing fire damage and even more the further they are. More importantly, it looks insanely cool. Yes, you can see the spell is nerfed to the ground, completely unusable piece of trash, not worth picking up. Nah, in all seriousness, almost every fire spell is amazing until about halfway through the playthrough, but not you, Inferno, you fucking suck. Once I got enough runes, I also hit level 12 and got my first useful summon. That is Tainted. He spits out fireballs and provides additional fire resistances to the team. Currently summons are not really that important, but once I hit level 30, he will be essential for this. Fire skills for all classes are just so powerful in the beginning, so it is really a no-brainer to start picking them on Druid or Assassin, and Andariel here is especially afraid of it. As you can see, couple of rings of fire and she enjoys that self-combustion. Oh man, I did not get Emilio in ages, and finally I was able to snatch him with aura I wanted, at least for now. Prayer will help with health regeneration, but really I just need another body in frontline. It's not even funny how much I bullied Radamant into giving me that book of skill. Dude just got flailed around. Next, we made sure that Halls of the Dead will live up to their name, leaving only dead bodies behind and grabbing the cube. Right after that, we snatched the Staff of Kings from the filthy maggots, now cleansed by fire, and I was able to hit level 17, allowing me to create Stealth Rune Ward for faster cast rate and run speed, some dexterity and mana regeneration. I suspect that I will use this until the set armor is available to me. Predictably, there wasn't much resistance in Viper Temple, but in return I got level 18, getting me another fire skill, Flame Wave. After a brief delay, it fires a rolling firewall that deals damage and leaves patches of fire that deals additional damage per second, more directional than the Ring of Fire with a greater destructive potential. Just before Duriel I hit next level, So with that I can get another bit of help in form of a leaf rune ward. While it is mostly targeted towards fire sorceress, it still has 3 to fire skills, some defense, cold resistance and mana after each kill, and those fire skills are absolutely counting towards both my offensive abilities and my tainted summon. The big bug himself is trapped in place thanks to Sigil Lethargy, that is slowing down his movement speed and attack, as well as reduces his defense, making physical attacks against him that much easier to land. It is an amazing tool against any boss. I had few points to spare, so I invested 3 of them to get Blade Warp, throws an astral weapon and Warlock is teleported to it upon impact. It deals some damage, but that is negligible. Most important aspect is a traversal option that will let me skip parts of the jungle. Time to grill some spider legs for that juicy jade figurine and Eye of Kalim. Not much to see here, so to get Kidbin now. One Ratman, that is sad. But the ring I got is kind of nice. Sure, stamina and gold is useless, but 30 to cold resistance and 18 to fire alongside 4 energy is just awesome. Endugu had to be squashed by Emilio's spear alone, as that one is fire immune. Then barbecue some sewer bats to get the heart, and finally raid the temple that is already in ruin to claim the prize of Lamb Essence book. Okay, I did not expect Council to fall so quickly, but here we are, rolling over them like they are nothing. And Mephisto was honestly no better. The power that Flamewave possess, including all the synergy from already stacked Ring of Fire, is really doing some serious damage, alongside Emilio and Tainted and the slow from Lethargy. He drops said breastplate, Eisenhart's case. Visual is a formidable foe in terms of his health pool, but that said, fire damage in Act 4 is falling off unfortunately. Half of the monsters here are resistant to it, and really in later stages of the game, it is the place to switch the build, as normally fire-centered build needs a lot of help to perform optimally. But Warlock has a few tricks up his sleeve and I am very curious if that would suffice. It is much more visible here in Chaos Sanctuary, with monsters like Oblivion Knights or Venom Lords taking refuge. As of now, I don't have the power to lower their resistance, so I am relying on sheer power of my skills to end them. So before the patch, Sigil Lethargy had another component to it. It was causing monsters to take more physical damage from attacks and could break their immunity for that, working as a pseudo-amplify damage. I am glad they nerfed this as a skill, in its current form seems already too powerful. Even before reaching Shank I found a soul rune, which I will use little later, and then I dealt with the aforementioned Overseer. The reward of ability to socket certain pieces will most likely be used to boost resistances later on. So width of Fire Wave is increased with every point put into it, making clearing any corridors much easier as the character progresses. You can see that now in Crystalline Passage it is basically covering half of the screen without much issues. In the Frozen River we saved Anya to get a fix for my resistances, thank you Mala, and soon after battle with the Ancients commenced. Although calling it a battle is a bit of a stretch, as they got rolled over by the raging fire. Since they were clumped together, they received the full force of each wave every time it was cast. After that I created a lore helmet for some skills and mana. It is a very cheap option to boost every caster damage output, and once again I think it will stay on my head until the said helmet comes into picture. Dealing with Bale is just formality. His health pool alongside mana burn are the only thing standing in the way of total and utter destruction of him. I didn't manage to hit level 30 in normal, but I can quickly fix that. Also, I saved a couple of points to get last spells I will need for this build. So let's get onto it by first sweeping Den of Evil for additional benefits, then burning the population of Cold Plains to hit a desired level. First, I am taking Bind Demon. This lets me bind a normal demon and it will get additional damage. This is probably the spell that was nerfed the hardest, as now you need to invest hard points to be able to bind champions or uniques. And most importantly, demons now cannot have Conviction Aura, which for this build was beyond busted. Next one, more important one, is Consume. It allows me to sacrifice Summoned Demon or Bound Demon for additional bonuses. It will always give me maximum life and run speed, but based on the Sacrifice Demon I can get something more. For this specifically, Tainted goes into play, as sacrificing him will get me more fire skill damage and minus to enemy fire resistance, which is massive. Last but certainly not least is Apocalypse. It creates a giant pentagram that deals damage in the area with a little bit of delay, but it also lowers enemy fire resistance, but just for this attack. So it is the attack of choice for those fire resistant or immune monsters. Alright, and when I was presenting Bind Demon, a broadsword with 4 open sockets dropped, so I already have a spirit base. So I set out to get the runes for it, but just before Forbidden Tower I got a Hell rune, which can be used for body armor rune word Authority, and after that I did about 4 runs of Countess to get everything I need for spirit, and even an IO rune for something like Bulwark for my Merc. So let's see if we can do a decent roll on spirit, and yo, damn, perfect faster cast rate. Aside from that, it is just a staple, with +2 to all skills, massive vitality and mana, cheap and very reliable for every caster. Faster cast rate does not seem to be as important on this build as on the others, as both Apocalypse and Flame Wave have slight delay on activation, but it still helps as you can cast the spells faster and not to be interrupted by the monsters while they are trying to blast the targets. I am criminally underleveled, but that does not stop me to commit some war crimes on Andariel. But in all seriousness, I need to level, as I will not wear the set in this difficulty. Sorry Emilio, your time has come. I hired my boy Kasim with Holy Freeze Aura. I think this is the only choice for this character really. It helps with survivability and slows down everything, making enemies easier to hit. At this point I enabled Players 5. This will allow me to get much more experience while doing this playthrough, since I don't really want to farm by the end of Nightmare, but I would still like to wear entire set by the end of it. Thanks to that increased experience gain, I managed to get to level 48 before Duriel. So with that, I can wear the first piece of the set, Horazon's Hold Gloves. Those are more oriented towards melee attackers as they provide sizable amount of attack rating, fire damage for attacks, 10% chance for crushing blow, some dexterity and life. Very solid piece. Duriel was kind of funny. Kasim isn't really built to withstand any amount of damage, so he was just cannon fodder here. Most of the fight I had to run around and kite the lesser evil with my attacks and just slow him down with lethargy. Very quickly I managed to get another Jade figurine, although health is not really something I don't have now. And I found 4 open socket Bill, which is perfect base for Insight. Since I had the runes for it, might as well create it right away. I am mostly doing it for the meditation aura that will boost my mana regeneration, but it also has a plethora of solid stats alongside good damage. Thanks to that new weapon we are able to make quick work out of fire immune monsters. Unfortunately, I still do not have enough debuff capability to break those, but I am very curious if there is an easy way to do so without involving Infinity or lower resist wand, although that last one could be a very nice fix that is easily attainable. In Endurance of Hate I managed to get to level 55, meaning I can now wear the second part of the set, Horazon's Dominion body armor. It provides demon skills, ample supply of mana, triple resistances, and with 2 pieces equipped it also provides 25% poison resistance, and gloves now also gives 30% increased attack speed, which is on par with Saigon's gloves bonus. Overall set bonus for 2 items is 20 dexterity, kind of an odd choice. I must say that by now at this level fighting bosses would be much easier, I thought. But here I am at Mephisto's humble abode and yeah, it is not really happening fast. I mean sure, his life is in constant decline, but it is not happening in a pace I would anticipate. He dropped a unique Kite Shield Steel Clash, which is a pretty good normal level shield for paladins. Act 4 of Nightmare is where things are getting complicated for every fire-based build. But is it true here? It is the place where normal monsters are starting to get immunities to fire especially, so something like Oblivion Knights should be impervious to my attacks. But it seems that I have enough fire piercing ability with Apocalypse that my damage is coming through anyway. Not to mention Kasim, who will be a major help here until the end of the run. We dealt with Idyll for that additional 2 skills, and as you can see, Apocalypse was the main objective here to max out, as it is the attack to breach resistances, but second skill I put my points into was Consume, to maximize the very same thing. So at this stage I can finally max out Ring of Fire and Flame Wave for damage and synergies. Let's confuse some monsters, drawing them into their master spawning point, only to get bamboozled by the same shape, only more appealing and flamey. I wanted to hit level 57 before Diablo, but I was off by about half a bar. After killing Infector, oh well, this means that Diablo will have to fall, so I can wear another set piece. So this fight was, yet again, just slowing down the big bad and spamming my abilities until he was dead. So now Horazon's Secrets Occult Codex. This is basically the piece that pushed me to play this build. It provides Eldritch skills, faster hit recovery and chance for block, alongside massive vitality and flat life spikes. But it also reduces poison length by 75% if you are wearing 2 set items, and it reduces enemy fire resistance by 25% if wearing 3 pieces, very similar to Triangle's set for Necromancers, but for poison damage. Additionally now, gloves are granting me 7% mana leech for 3 set items, and overall set bonus for those gives 32 energy. So now, with the Occult Tome and Tainted Consumed, I have 40% fire piercing resistance, and Apocalypse itself has 27%, so 67% in total, but I believe it can be higher. With my new shiny tome, I cleared out Shank and quickly went back to town, to carve out the piece of the front page in order to socket a perfect diamond into it. Thanks to that, now I am getting 19 to all resistances. I don't think there is anything better I can get for the majority of the game, so yeah, moving on. I'm always picking up jewels that are dropping, mainly for the fact that they are used for crafting, but sometimes you get something like this. Disregard cold damage and stamina, but 10 to all resistances, with fire being 33, this is actually amazing. Ancients can already be immune to their respective elements if they roll elemental enchantment, for the same thing. But if they don't, well, this happens. I honestly did not register when they died, I just got quest completion out of the blue. My mercenary died during that fight. and I just now realized that I have every piece to create Bulwark, so let's do it. I said this multiple times. This might be my favorite rule mod. It is reliable. Life leech, faster hit recovery, life and physical damage reduction. What more do you want for physical melee fighter? Okay, it seems that this run is going smooth enough that I can progress to hell by killing this one here. So let's continue completing the set in the next difficulty. Yay, Fallens and their shamans are already fire immune, like half of the monsters in this entire difficulty. But Apocalypse is still going strong, and since I was few bars short of level 62, I got into Den of Evil, so now the fourth piece of the set, Helmet. Horazon's Countenance. It gives +1 to Warlock skills, 1% bonus to attack rating per character level, some strength and magic damage reduction. It also gives 5% to maximum life for 2 set pieces and 15 to strength for 4 pieces worn. Now Codex also gives 15 to energy, body armor gives 15 to vitality, and gloves are getting 7% life leech. Entire set bonus gives 300 flat defense, all that for wearing 4 pieces at the same time. We cleared the Den of Evil for the last time, and before starting the challenge I did not know how much attributes it would give, and since boots are last piece and they require the most amount of strength to wear, it is clear that once I will be able to wear them, I will need to reset my build. My joy was short-lived. Some monsters have higher resistance that not even Apocalypse in its current form can break. But I found this 5 open socket polearm in which I could do an obedience in the future. But why would you waste runes for a normal level base? Well, I would not fight with it. But it has a component that it reduces fire resistance of the enemies by additional 25%. Dealing with large groups of enemies when I cannot break their spirit is almost impossible. With the singular enemies, Kasim can get by, although he's a bit weak. I went back to town and finally got myself a wand with lower resist charges. This will at least allow me to deal with some of the tougher enemies when there will be a need for it. Clearing this place isn't exactly great. I cannot steal Kasim to target shamans, but I can blade warp to them and cast lethargy, so he would have an easier time dealing with them. It is still so funny to me that Andariel's area is one with so many fire immune monsters, and only ones that are not are misshapen. But Spider Queen herself is extra vulnerable to this stuff, making farming her with fire oriented build actually preferable. First things first, go to the sewers to visit the man made out entirely out of 1 skill point. After that, quick trip to the desert yields me another level, and with it the last part of the set, Horazon's Legacy Boots. Those by themselves are amazing. They give 30% faster run walk, strength and dexterity. Also, as one of the very few items in the game, they give magic resistant, and as the only boots in the game, they give Cannot Be Frozen, which opens up so many possibilities for other slots. 2 set item bonus gives 10% faster run walk on them, and now entire set completion gives, in addition to previous bonuses, 3 to Warlock skills, 350% enhanced damage, 30 to enchant skill, which is crazy, 50 to all resistances as with every other endgame set, and 100% magic find. This might be the most balanced and well thought out set in the game, granted that they had knowledge and time to really think this through and come up with something that is actually usable for, I believe, every Warlock build. Also, set completion gives that signature aura glow, similar to other endgame sets, aside from Natalia's. I still have the flashbacks and my back is suddenly overwhelmed by cold sweat when I think of Naj's or Natalia's sets, where I had to farm to I think level 81 to even be able to equip the last part of them, which is pretty insane. Here the power spikes are noticeable at every turn, although I must say that this set isn't doing much for magic damage based build, it does not provide any faster cast rate, nor does it give any chaos skills, aside from that 4 Warlock skills in total. That said, I don't think it needs that much help. It is magic after all. Okay, boss fights now are a complete joke. Debuff the target with lower resist and watch them burn. Duriel dropped 2 set items, War Sword, Death's Touch, and Sharkskin Belt, Mavina's Tenet. I got a bit greedy in Spider's Cave as I grabbed Kalim's Eye. I warped all over the place, still thinking I can get out, but eventually I had to do my first quit out of the run to just live. Despite having that massive bonus to magic find from the set, I hardly found anything good. Sure, I had few unique drops like a lowly Nagel Ring or unique Ornate Plate Corpsemorn, but none of them are really of use to me. Still, I am using entire set, so really half of the drops will not be useful. One can hope, I guess. There is one thing of the set I did not talk about yet, and that is 30 to enchant. I dismissed it at first since it is targeted more towards melee attackers or physical attackers. But it can also be used on Mercenary, giving him nice boost of fire damage and attack rating. Also, since it is an O skill, it gets boosted by plus to all skills, as you can see. Council is one of the trickier fights for the fire builds. They are spawning fire or lightning immunities, but in my case, every elite had fire immunity, so I had to drag them out one by one until it got somebody that my merc can kill to get the flail. Mephisto is unlike the Council in that sense. Once he is afflicted by lower resist curse, it is basically over. Couple of spells and fight is done. The game has become my oyster now. It is just a matter of how fast I can kill something without them killing me, or do I need to kill something because I simply cannot deal with them. My own damage is insane at this point. Mercenary can still be improved to deal with singular enemies with fire immunity, but this is not even the final form of this character. In both Normal and Nightmare, Hephasto or rather Hellforge were not really kind to me. Here we are getting chased by a bunch of pit lords all the time, but I managed to snipe Hephasto to grab the hammer to finally get something good, and Istrun dropped. Pretty good. And now we arrive at complete stop. Chaos Sanctuary is where hopes and dreams die for me, as well as other fire enjoyers. Almost everything is laughing in my face, taking no damage, even with lower resist. But fear not, there is a way to go about this place. So I decided to farm for a bit to get equipment I need, and since at least one item comes to my mind that can help, I decided that Countess will be a good place to start. That said, I found Fall Rune, 2 Cow Runes, plenty of Lam Runes, Mal Rune, Am Rune and Lem Rune. And in the runs you see me using a different weapon than before. That's because once I got a Cow Rune, I created an Obedience and a Scythe. This I am normally creating in an elite base for my mercenary, but I am using this for minus to enemy fire resistance, stats and 25 to all resistances. But the twist here is that I have enough runes to get this weapon for my merc too, but I don't have a base yet. I also got Treachery for my merc, as Fate proc provides massive resistances, physical damage reduction and curse time reduction. Also, attack speed and venom will give us an advantage over fire resistant and physical immune monsters. So it was time to get that elite base for my mercenary. Set player count to 5 and into the Stony Tomb I go. I managed to find a white Thresher and I took a gamble. Ral, Amn and Perfect Amethyst into the cube will add a random amount of sockets into normal weapon. And fortunately I rolled 5, so I can do another Obedience. While Kasim is benefiting from the same things as I do, he will do an immense damage and Crushing Blow will allow him to chunk bosses and tough enemies. One more thing to mention, as you can see, for some time I have been running with this demon. I invested a couple of points into demonic mastery, 5 to be exact, as you need hard points to increase the maximum demons you can control, to have an additional body in front. I would like to have another demon just to divert attention from me, but that will need to wait for respec. Also, I could boost my demon with additional affixes or just get more blood off for safety. Thanks to the new equipment and demon, clearing fire immune monsters is very easy now. Moreover, Urdars or blunderboars, name depends on the act you get them, have inherent crushing blow chance, which in combination with Kasim's obedience turns both of them into boss killing machines. Not to mention that bosses aren't really resistant to fire now. As you can see, only thing I am missing now is regeneration stopper, like open wounds, but I have the plan for that too. Going through the last act is more or less a matter of time really. There is nothing that can stop me, so I breezed through. So let me do a little summary of the set and build itself. The set is incredible, and like I said previously, it works well with all kinds of Warlock builds. Although it seems that melee or physical damage variants can benefit from the full set the most, thanks to that immense enhanced damage, crushing blow, increased attack speed and enchant. 3 pieces together with shield are amazing for fire builds for that minus to enemy fire resistance. And you could swap gloves for mage fist and helmet for flickering flame, and that entire frame shifts perfectly to accommodate even more damage. There is a lack of faster cast rate, as none of the pieces or additional bonuses grants that. But it is hard to complain when you receive so much, together with cannot be frozen on just one piece alone. That in my eyes might be the best set in the game currently, or on par with Rashas for sorceress or Triangles for necromancers. As for the fire build, I am not sure if it is the strongest fire build. Sometimes it feels clunky to play due to delay on both main damage skills, but the damage can be insane, especially if you stack minus to fire resistance, and since Warlock has 2 abilities that can boost that already, being Apocalypse and Consuming Tainted, it is by far the easiest where that can be achieved to insane levels. I loved playing this build. It has great damage, AoE potential and overall clear speed. With enough fire piercing, it also clears whatever is thrown at you, including bosses and fire immune demons. It is just an amazing, highly recommend to try it for yourself. Thank you very much for watching, stay tuned for more games and gaming videos. Like it if you liked it, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, and as always, Challenger departs.